Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to one and all present here. Myself Priyanka, a team member at Hack the Mountains. So Hack the Mountains is back with another module of HTM Qubits. HTM Qubits is a quantum of workshops packed together. And this is the seventh session of HTM Qubits and we are very pleased to have here with us. You all are the audience and our speaker, and we have loved the support we have received till now, and we'll expect the same in the future too. So, in this session, we are going to learn about artificial intelligence and smart data. So, for this, we have our speaker Victor sir. So, he's a data scientist and he's also the director of Azure Technical Training. He is also an evangelist of artificial intelligence adoption. All this just makes him perfect for us to guide us through artificial intelligence workshop. So I hope every audience who are present here are one of those who are intrigued by the very topic of this session. So without delaying any further and with to make most out of this session, I would like to invite our speaker onto the stage. Hello, sir. It's a great honor to have such an esteemed speaker like you with us. Over
Thank
to you,
you. Thank
sir. The
you.
stage is all yours now.
I appreciate it. Thank you for that warm welcome. I'm super honored to be here and happy to talk today about artificial intelligence and how we can use smart data for all the future jobs that we can have access to, and also for all the changes that we can do in the different industries around the world, thanks for the new technology that we have available now in the cloud, not only in the Microsoft clouds, also in some other public clouds as well. We have a strong capabilities related with artificial intelligence that I would like us to talk today. So let's go for it, right? Let's start talking about this. The first thing that I would like to share with you guys is this story about Napoleon and the King Monguk. Something really interesting about these two persons is that they were people that really like the nice stuff, right? They like to have jewels, they have to have wealthy. Actually, Napoleon has this characteristic that when he was eating, he was using artifacts made of gold. Right, that was one of the things that he liked. So the different artifact that he was using in order to cut his meat to feed himself was made of gold, and he was also allowing all his military forces back at the middle 800s. We're talking here. He was allowing his military forces to use silverware. Right, so they were using silver as the material to create the artifacts they use for having their dinner, their lunch, and all their foods. One day, Napoleon decided that he wants to invite King Monguk for a dinner. Right, King Monguk at that point was the overall ruler for a big portion of the South Asia portion of the world, and Napoleon, he wants to do something nice for King Monguk. So he was wondering, what should I do, right? Should I do this with gold? Should I do this with silver? What kind of gift are going to be providing to King Monguk? And something interesting is that wasn't gold or silver the material that was selected to create the artifacts for King Monguk for that dinner, but was used the aluminum instead. By middle 800s, aluminum was one of the most valuable materials in the planet. Was so hard to put enough quantity of aluminum together to create something that made it really, really expensive. Actually, when we check out the collections of the jewels from different crowns in EMEA and Asia and other part of the planet, we can find gold, silver, jewels, but they also have small quantities of aluminum because what's something considered really valuable. In United States, for example, the monumentum to Washington, the top of the monumentum to Washington is done with aluminum to cover that portion because what's something really valuable. However, today, aluminum is not that valuable as before. Technology was made possible to aluminum to be something that we all use now, right? So wherever you check around, you have your cell phone, your computer, your car, your kitchen, your fridge, whatever item you have around probably is using some sort of aluminum to do whatever inside. It's used for everybody now. We don't even worry about it, right? We can tell that aluminum was democratized and was demonetized in the way that it's not something that money is holding people to allow them to use aluminum, and you can find it pretty much everywhere because science and technology made them that way. At some point, the process of electrolysis and the process as the Bayer process, for example, made the aluminum something that we can get in enough quantities. This is what we call disruption. Disruption is when something is able to change the value of a respective service or product that thanks for an improvement in a process or in technology, the product totally change for the final users. This effect of disruption is really common in our times, in where constantly we have progress in technology, or services, and then the services change and the industry start evolving faster and faster. And that's where we as the new generations of workers, we as the new generations of scientists, engineers, technology people, we can have opportunities for us thanks to the disruption. And let's talk a little bit about that, because disruption is not something that is new for human beings. It's something that is being part of the way we act and the way we collaborate with others since the beginning of humanity. Right here on this slide, we can see different milestones in human history that help us understand how we, as these amazing creatures that we are, have this ability to start finding ways to make disruptions in the things, making some stuff that was really valuable or only accessible to few to be something that everybody can access and enjoy. For example, let's imagine only the steam engine and the power that the steam motors provided to humans. What only in 1698 that we start having this control, but the progress that having these machines that were driven by the steam was something amazing for people. We were able to transport a lot of materials from one point to another, allowing us to create new cities in where it was impossible to do before. We were able to cross the whole ocean from one point to another in these big ships that were being managed by this engine used by steam. The progress and the connectivity that generated in humans at that point was unbelievable, and is part of the basis of the world in where we live today. Was only in 182 that we would start controlling electricity to provide us light. Imagine that. For centuries, actually for millenniums, humans were slaves or the darkness. As soon the sun goes away, we have to start creating these small fires so we can have some people around us and stay together while all the night pass through, because we have no control. We can do nothing in darkness. But now we control darkness as our own advantage. We can select to be dark, so we want to go to bed and sleep and take some rest. But we can also take advantage of portion of the time in the night. And you can decide to use the lighting that you have to start reading, studying, to spending some time listening to music, watching stream content in any of the digital platform that we have now. You have the ability to control the 24 hours of your day if you want it, just because we have the ability to turn the light on off when we need it. All this is part of the progress of human beings. But more recently, we are seeing three big steps in the way we are working as humanity in the last three decades around us. The first one is the invention of the internet. So around 1980, we have all these people that is starting to connect computers, allowing people from India, from people from London, from people from Sydney, people from United States, Costa Rica, Latin America, wherever you want, they were able to start working together, sharing knowledge, sharing experiences, creating stuff together. Then that start evolving even more because the necessity to have more CPU power, more RAM memory, more storage capacity make the different organizations in the world to start creating cloud computing. In word organizations, they don't need to buy now all the hardware that they need for that particular project they want to go for it, or for that innovation they want to do. Now they can acquire the CPU, the memory, the hardware that they need as a service using those services coming to the cloud. So you can start consuming only what you need and pay only what you need when you need it. And you don't have to make the commitment to acquire all the hardware by yourself and maintain that hardware and being responsible for it for all the long life that those artifacts may have. Cloud computing is making the power of the internet is allowing us all to have access to the same resources whenever we are in the planet. But that was only the introduction for what is really changing the world today, which are the artificial intelligence capabilities that we have access now thanks to cloud computing. Because it's not about that you have to go and develop all the code by yourself and you have to invent this new machine that is intelligent and can help you with any sort of analysis or validation. Is the fact that you don't have to create it by yourself now. There is plenty services that are already created and ready to use that you can just only consume as a service, allowing you to create really complex solutions in no time. And we're going to be learning a little bit about that during this presentation. This change, this evolution in the way we do things, this disruption that we generate all the time is a constant thing. And we see it all the time. One characteristic that we saw a few years ago is that the retail industry was one size that fits for all, right? In the fact that you were kind of limited to the options that the local stores in the city that you live can make available to you. We don't have many options at some point. So those that own those stores are pretty much the ones who decide what kind of products are we using, what brands are we carrying. But that was before. Now the world is evolving to have a retail industry that is absolutely personalized. If you have access to the internet and if you have a company, a carrier company that can bring packages to you, you have the ability to buy whatever you want from wherever you want it. You can select the color that fits better to you, the brand that you like the most. You can buy things from whatever country in the planet if you like. And there is people doing business around moving artifacts, even a simple t-shirt, a simple pair of shoes, that if you want it in your home, they can take it to you. Using and evolving the way people is acquiring things and making the business for retail something big that many people can take advantage of. But that is just one example of that. The other thing is the way that we are evolving how we create artifacts. For example, let's think about the cars for a moment. Where for many, many years, we were assembling those cars in these lines of production that were slow and really expensive, making cars accessible only for a few people, certain segments, they have access to that. But thanks to the evolution in the ways we do things, to artificial intelligence, to robotics, having a car is a potential thing that pretty much everybody can have access to if they have a job and they can go for it and have that expectation in their evolution. Because we have access. There is plenty companies that they have the ability to create thousands of hundreds of cars around and move those around the world to offer that capability to many and not just to a few. Let's see this example, for example. This image is really interesting. This is the Fifth Avenue in New York. And what I want us to see here is how disruption is a real thing that can happen really quick in any industry. You can see in one of the sides of the images, it's an image from 190, in where you can see right there in the circle, the only motor car available at that point in that picture in the 5th Avenue in New York. All the rest of the cars that you see right there are using horsepower in order to move from point A to point B. But a little bit more than 10 years later, if we see a picture of the same 5th Avenue in New York, you are not going to find any horse anymore. All the cars are being transported by that engine. That evolution in the way things were done to transport people was definitely an impactful change in the way business were being executed. Imagine those that were on the horse business, right? And the blacksmith that were able to create all the things that the horse needed. But in only 10 years, that business evolved completely. From having a lot of horses on the street to have a lot of cars on the street. Evolution and disruption in the way business are being conducted. The way finance work is also changing. For many, many times, we were slaves in a way of the times of the bankers, in where when you get your paycheck, you have to run to the bank in order to change it for real money, because if the bank closed, you have to wait until the next day, or even you have to pass all the weekend for Monday to be able to access the bank services. But now that is not that way. Plenty of financial institutions has evolved to have real-time transactions, in where now you are using your mobile phone in order to do all the transactions that you need with the bank without having to go physically to one of the agencies of that institution. Evolving again the way people is making transactions, making businesses, moving wealth from one point to the other thanks to technology. We are constantly evolving. And we see it as well in one of the most important industries, which is the healthcare industry, in where we are moving little by little from a reactive approach, in where we have to wait pretty much to be really sick, to have our arm broke, or to be feeling really, really bad in order to have access to medical care. Now we have the possibility to have proactive care, in where the doctors and those people that is specialized on medicine, they have the access to toolings and ways to communicate to others, to share results and studies that they do, allowing us to understand better how the human being react to certain things. It's not a secret for anybody. COVID is being one of the big challenges for the last year for the whole planet. You guys, we here are all being affected for that. But if we try to see the bright side just a little bit, even in all the sadness that this is bringing for us, at least by the very first time, the human being as a motion, we were able to react as quickly as possible, quickly that ever before, because that kind of virus or sick periods like this are being with humans from ever, right? This is something that we are being facing, and there is history around that, in when many times the humans as a species are being threatened because this kind of problems. But before, we didn't have the possibility to react, to try to save ourselves. This time, thanks to technology, thanks to science, thanks to engineers, to doctors, to all the people that put their minds on this, we are reacting faster, generating different cares that we can use in order to protect ourselves, and soon to be able to cover ourselves with a vaccine about it. So we are evolving the way the healthcare industry is working in the world. Satya Nadella, who is the CEO of Microsoft, in his book, Hit Reflect, he says, AI will transform every business and improve every life and solve the most important challenges that we have as an species. And that's important because it's true. And that's why part of the objective today from these big companies, Microsoft, AWS, Google, or all the big brands around, is not only to explain to people what they can use on the cloud, it's actually this new responsibility that we need everybody to take advantage of those capabilities. Because when you start infusing in your business models the capabilities for artificial intelligence, you have a big advantage in whatever you are doing. And we want everybody to take use of that, and not only the big brands around. Let's learn more about it. If we think about the artificial intelligence, I think it's important to have clarity what is really artificial intelligence, because it's not the concept that we see in movies like The Matrix or what we see in Terminator, in where we have this generalistic artificial intelligence that is able to understand everything happening around, or taking this kind of actions that are being taken. It's not that really. I love sci-fi myself, so it's an inspiration, definitely. But that is not the artificial intelligence that we're talking. Artificial intelligence today is this technology, this normal program of computation that is created, that has abilities to perceive, learn, and reason about one particular topic that is being focused on. So if we have artificial intelligence created for our financial services, or artificial intelligence capabilities for our retail services, it's going to be focused on that specifically, because we're going to be programming that AI to be able to expand or to amplify our own human being capabilities with extended capabilities thanks to this tool. It's something that we can focus in one particular topic, and it's not gonna be evolving from that to start trying to destroy the world and take ownership of everything. It's a program normal like any other, but with cognitive capabilities, which is the ability to see and understand what is going on around for one particular service. But why now? What is in our time? What is in your time that artificial intelligence is becoming such a big deal? Three things has to happen in order to allow us to have these capabilities. And that's why it wasn't possible to do before, but yes, it's possible to do now. The three things that we need in order to be able to have artificial intelligence capabilities is, first, data. Yes, we need to have data, because artificial intelligence, these kind of programs, what they do is analyze massive amounts of data and then start to find patterns, algorithms, tendencies, different kind of factors and data points and telemetry that we can extract from that data to help us take decisions. Fortunately, humans are being fantastic recording data. Since the beginning of time, when the Sumerians or the Egyptians were creating the different ways that they were recording their thoughts, or even in stones when we were writing, the humans are being and doing this intentional effort to keep record of everything we do. And same is happening with the companies. Something that we know for sure is that from all the data that the organizations have in their power, they are really only using around 2 to 4% of that data today to make smart decisions in their businesses. So imagine the opportunity that we have with all the historic data that is being saved by banks, by security companies, by retail companies, by healthcare companies. All that data is super relevant. But the second thing that we need in order to have artificial intelligence was the cloud computing capabilities. Because in order to process all this information and to create the proper algorithms that we need for this, a lot of computer power is required. And that was an issue, because then you have to go and buy hardware in order to make your project a possibility and a reality. You have to go and acquire all these server blades, and you have to rack them, you have to connect them, you have to maintain them, you have to make sure that the rooming where they live is cold, is clean. Yes, it's a big responsibility. And what if something happens in that particular geolocation in where those servers that you acquire live, and then you lose everything? That is a possibility. That could happen. So that's why cloud computing was so important. Also, what happens after the project is done, right? We don't necessarily need to be starting processing all this massive data all the time. Normally, we do that once, And then we start just processing the delta data that we receive that is new to the segment that was already processed. So that means that a lot of the CPU power, RAM power, and storage that you need is required in certain moments of the project, but not all the time. That's why the concept to pay for what you consume is so smart, because allow anybody, organizations, and even individuals to have access to the same power computer that the big brands have and use them only for the project that they need, saving a lot of money that way. And the third thing that we need in order to have artificial intelligence capability was to have the proper algorithms that we can reuse when we are creating products. Because as I said at the beginning of the presentation, it's not the fact that you need to create every single line of code in order to create an artificial intelligence engine or an artificial intelligence or a program infused with artificial intelligence. You can only reuse those services that already exist using interfaces like APIs, in where you can connect to those services and consume them as a service. That's the big game changer in the artificial intelligence industry. But let me talk a little bit more about these algorithms and why that is so important. Because it's not something that just started this in our time. Actually, when we think about artificial intelligence and how computer machine learning was being evolving, it's something that is coming from some time ago already. Many of you may be familiar with the stories around Alan Turing, which is one of the fathers of artificial intelligence, of machine learning. And in his white paper that he wrote in 1950 about the Turing test, we start to understand the concepts behind how to evaluate the capabilities of artificial intelligence. So really, really broadly, the way that we can understand the Turing test is like, imagine that you are outside of a room that doesn't have any window, so you cannot see what is inside. And then you know that inside could be a human and a computer. You make a question to the room, you can see, you receive a reply back, and what Turing test says is, if you cannot figure if the response that you got from your question is coming from a computer or is coming from a human being, that means that we are reaching human parity in that particular topic. So don't confuse it with the way the computer talks, right? It's not that if you ask to the room and the room responds in a computer voice, that's how you recognize it. Let's imagine all this based on text. So you send a text question, and the reply that you get that is also text, you get one from a human, one from a computer. If you cannot figure which one is from who, then we have this human parity going on. This concept is the same that is being used by all the big companies working with artificial intelligence capabilities in order to evolve the algorithms that they have. Those algorithms are normally separated on these 4 different milestones. And that's the way that Microsoft is also showing his progress to the rest of the world. So we have this way to measure all the different ages and understand the progress that they are having. The first area of algorithms that we are developing are the visual capabilities. Yes, that means that it's software that has the ability to identify all the different objects that we have in a certain image or a footage of video, and then we can start doing things with that. In 2016, Microsoft AI reached the human parity on the capability to identify objects in images, allowing the program to have even 152 layers that they can identify. So if you see a certain picture, you can identify, yes, this is a car, this is a person, this is a road, this is a glass. And then with that information, you can start creating different programs for the different industries that you want. Because, for example, I'm going to tell you a short story. I'm from Costa Rica, here in Latin America. In South America, the mining industry is a really important industry. At the healthcare of the employees, the miners on those areas is really important. It's a really tough job. It's a really hard to do, and it's really risky. But something that the mining companies find out is that two of the main reasons employees get hurt in the work is because, one, they were not using the protecting gear, their hammer, their glasses, their gloves. They were not using the protecting gear in the areas in where it's mandatory. And the second reason was because people was picking up things from the floor in the wrong way. So they were, doing a pain on his back. Those two reasons were the main reasons people feel bad when they were working. Using these artificial intelligence capabilities with regular cameras of surveillance, you can see if somebody is entering an area in where it's mandatory to use protective gear. And if you are not wearing that, because the program can recognize that you are missing your hat or you are missing your glove or your glasses, automatically a program can send a notification to that employee and to his supervisor to try to avoid an accident before it happens. Same with somebody is, taking something from the floor in the wrong position, they alert that person using this kind of programs. So you don't have to program the whole identification thing. All that is already done. The only thing that these companies need to do is to use those services as a service, that concept as a service, and develop their part of the business, the particular utilization that they are going to be doing, in this case, related with the mining issues that we have with the employees. Other area of artificial intelligence or algorithm that is important to keep evolving is the capability of the software to understand our speech, so that we can start communicating with programs through our voice. For example, we can use capabilities of artificial intelligence to recognize this talk. So everything that I'm saying can be captured and can be transformed to text. And when you transform everything to text, there is plenty things that you can do with that. You can do a deep investigation for certain topics. So imagine, for example, that you create this little program that is identifying all the voice from one speaker, and then, as I was starting, for example, my presentation talking about Napoleon and King Monguk, this artificial intelligence program can take that and can even go and do a more deep research for King Monguk or Napoleon for you and bring you a summary from the internet about who those persons were. That way you are amplifying the knowledge that you have in certain topics. And that is just one example of the ways that we can use these capabilities for text recognition or speech recognition. The other human parity effort that was done, and we achieved it in 2018, was the capability for software to be able to read in a way the content that we have already written. And that is amazing, because you can provide to a certain software 200, 1,000 books in order to process all of that. And with that, they can create a smart databases. So this computer program is going to be able to respond to you to questions that you can make based on the data that he was using to learn about it, processing all the text that we have right there. Imagine the value of these capabilities for governments, local governments as well, in where the governments, they have plenty of data in paper, right? Plenty of data about their citizens, their cities, their transport programs, everything. And many of that content is in paper that is being inherited from the previous government or the previous government to that. All that data can be used now and can be digitalized using these capabilities. And finally, the ability to be able to translate in real time to multiple languages, whatever content is being distributed. That is also allowing artificial intelligence to have a really open approach in where many people can take benefit of the content that is being processed. Those are the ways that those first tests that Alan Turing was doing before in 1950, those evolved to have these kind of ways to start monitoring the progress of artificial intelligence in different areas, allowing us all to use that of our benefit. All of this, all of these capabilities, all of these toolings that we have now open the opportunity for new kind of jobs. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that in some of the areas that the future of jobs is changing and that we can take advantage of that. Let me talk to you about three areas that we need to put or we can put our attention on. The first one is this new concept of the consumer experience economy. With this, what we are talking is that the economy, the digital economy that we have now, in where people can acquire any product of any service from wherever in the world they want, is something that we have to take advantage of. Because people is not buying things or acquiring services or things just because of the product anymore. People is looking to have a fantastic customer experience. Many people is acquiring things for the brand that they know are going to provide to them a great customer service. Even if the product is a little bit more expensive, or even if the quality of the product, when we compare it with something that some other competitor may have, is a little bit different, people now appreciate significantly when they are treated properly in a business transaction. And that's why the journey to acquire any sort of service or product is changing dramatically for companies, because it's not anymore only about the customer that go into the store, took the product and pay for it, and that's it. That way of making business is not there anymore. Now, the customers, they do a research previously. They go online and they start comparing your product and your services with others. They go to social media and they start checking out what other people is saying about you and the way that you offer services. When they go and they try to acquire the service, they want to have many possibilities on how to pay for that. Financing systems as well, in where you can buy directly, you can use any loan that they offer, you can use credit cards for that, you can use Bitcoins for that, you name it. People like to have different options to pay for the things they want. And after they acquire whatever they acquire, they are going to be expressing their opinion online again. And all of this open a lot of different jobs that doesn't exist before, because companies now require to have data scientists, experts in marketing that are analyzing everything that is happening preview to the buy, during the buy, and after the buy. So together they see and monitor the whole experience and extract intelligence that can help upper management to take the right decisions regarding how we are treating our customers. So the customer experience economy is a really interesting effect that we're living today, in where people appreciate more the way they are treated than even the product that they are acquiring. The second area is the fact that we need to start designing applications, software applications, and programs in a way that is human-centered based. With this, what we're talking is people hate to be facing issues with applications, right? If you go to certain website and the website is not working well, you are gonna go away from there and probably you are never gonna come back. When people goes to a bank or to any financial institution or any business, to be honest, and they try to do any transaction, and the person that is trying to help them in that organization said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but the system is really slow today," or "I'm sorry, the system is down today." That is something that we cannot have anymore or any longer in any organization. We need to have applications that are really natural and easy to use by any people. One of the areas of companies that are doing a really good job about having applications that are designed to provide pleasure to the human being are the social network platforms. if you think about it, when Instagram or Facebook or whatever, TikTok or whatever social network you like fail, when you go to one of those platforms and you find no news for you, when you go and they don't have a notification for you about something, pretty much never. These platforms are designed in a way that they are even addictive to people. Every time that we have a minute in the elevator or in the public transportation or wherever we are, people normally go to their cell phones and they go into their social networks because they are designed in a such easy way to consume that you just need to go into, move your finger to refresh, and you are gonna get new stuff. That portion is something that we need to replicate in all the software that we create. We need to create software that is so easy to use, is so stable, and people feel so good when they use it that they are gonna come back. Making interfaces so seamless that for the final user, they even transact with your program in a way that they are not even thinking about it. That's what we're looking to have. We need to move our programming and the way we create things to make it appealing and enjoyable for the final users. Finally, and more important, there is a big challenge that we are all facing today. All these capabilities, all this amazing computer power that we have available, all these algorithms for artificial intelligence that we have, all these platforms that are created to generate addiction in the users, to look for them to come back as quickly as possible, as often as possible, open challenges for all of us. What is happening with our data? What are the rules on ethics about the way that we are using and allowing others to use that data? And how are we securing the information from ourselves and from our customers is always going to be a factor of interest. Many people is every single day receiving a lot of information in their cell phones that is fake. It's fake news, but they don't know that. They don't have any way to figure that out. For the final user, that they are not part of the technology community, that they are not involved in these kind of conversations every day, for them, what they see on their cell phones is the reality. For them, that's the truth that they live on. And many organizations take advantage of that and manipulate others using, money for that. Because then you can pay for certain news or for certain posts to be so popular that everybody see it, and many people is going to accept what they see as the truth. And they are going to share that with others as a true story when it's not. And that's something we have to be so careful. We need to understand that we are all responsible for our data, for what others do with our data. And we need to be alert that many people is going to look to manipulate us. It's going to look to try to put some thoughts in our minds without us even knowing about it. Things that could be so superficial as the next brand of shoes that you are going to buy, right? So you're going to start seeing all this publicity for certain brands in your social networks because you maybe start talking about that you want to have new shoes, and then for some reason, the program figured that out and start giving you publicity about it. You can tell, hey, well, that's fine, right? I really need this couple new shoes and I like this brand. So actually, I'm receiving a service here. I'm getting a recommendation that I know is going to work for me. And that's fine. That's perfect. But also in the same way, could happens with more deep topics, with things that are more important, things related with politics, things related with social, things related with hate or with love, things related with how we interact with others. We have to be alert all the time. And if you are part of the technology business, if you are looking to be part, an engineer, a data science, to be part of all of this that is happening, we all have the responsibility to look, to protect for data, to establish ethic rules in our programming, and to make sure that we are securing the information that belongs to us and that belongs to our customers. Finally, one of the reasons artificial intelligence is such an important topic is because there is a lot of money related with this. Just in the next 3 years, the estimated additional revenue that artificial intelligence capabilities are going to bring are in around $40 billion. The salaries of many of us are going to be paid or is being paid right now thanks to all these new trends of work, all these new tendencies, all these new kind of jobs that are starting to appear. We want to be part of this because already, up to date, already 85% of the biggest enterprises around the world, they already have artificial intelligence capabilities embedded in the programs that they have. So if we are an entrepreneur, if we are trying to, bring with our own company, our own ideas, we can totally do it, but we need to fight at the same level. We need to make sure that whoever is trying to be an entrepreneur is also taking advantage of these capabilities, because if not, it's going to be really, really hard to compete. Our relationship with artificial intelligence has to be evolving, has to be something that goes beyond the experts. It's not something that we are leaving only for certain people that is really, really smart. To be honest, that is not the case. Artificial intelligence today is something that is created for everybody. You have the ability today to create programs without even using one single line of code, because you can have all these new interfaces to create things. So we need to make sure that everybody is taking advantage of this. I would like to present you some sort of data that you guys can use in case you want to learn more about artificial intelligence, you want to learn more about capabilities. In the website acap.ms #learn is the Microsoft official website for learning. Right there, you are going to find plenty free material that you can use to understand better what cloud computing is, how you can use it, and also how can you take advantage of the artificial intelligence capabilities available in Azure. So I invite you to continue your journey in the website aka.ms #learn. But that is not all. There is other possibilities as well of how to keep improving the way that we work. And that is also finding the way to amplify our impact. That is exactly the potential of artificial intelligence. It's not replacing people. It's not the fact that we are going to be losing jobs because of artificial intelligence. Yes, I mean, there is certain people that are going to need to requalify themselves. Same that happens with the Fifth Avenue image that I showed you about New York, in when only 10 years later, we moved from horses to cars. Well, those people that were blacksmiths working on the horse business, they were forced to evolve their industry to cars if they want to keep in the business. So the same happens today. Certain jobs are going to be evolving to something better, because at the end, we want humans to be dedicating your time, your energy in things that really are worthy for a human to be dedicating that time and energy. There is plenty activities that we do sometimes that are repetitive, are monotonous, that are not giving us any kind of growth for us. It's something that is not really inspiring us. Why do we want to have a human doing something that is not worthy for him? You are so smart. You have so many talents, so many potential. You should be focusing something that inspires you, something that is so important that then we can use artificial intelligence capabilities to amplify your impact. When I see this image, for example, I always say, imagine this engineer from the field, this owner from this farm, and they are probably he's an expert or she's an expert on that. But imagine if we have this person that is an expert in certain topic, if we're able to tell them in real time about your farm. Okay, this is the velocity of the wind. This is the humidity that we have. This is the amount of water that we are being used with the plants. This is the different pesticides that we use so far. This is the schedule that the different people is working. all those data factors are going to amplify the capability for the farm owner to take the best advantage of the land that he has. Same happens with doctors, same happens with engineers. In every industry, we can amplify our capabilities if we add these additional things to us. And we are doing this already. We're doing this since we have smartphones and computers. Now we have the ability to whatever topic somebody is talking about, you can, find it in your browser of choice and you can get more information about it. It's a way to amplify yourself. Well, the next step is that you don't have to do it only through your cell phone, that you can do it through applications that understand your and turn at what is happening about something to give you real recommendations to help you be more wisely in whatever you do. So that was the conversation for today. I really appreciate the opportunity to have this talk. It's really important for us to be conscious that we have this amazing opportunity in front of us, but also this huge responsibility. The internet, the cloud computing, the artificial intelligence is going to improve human being quality of life significantly in the next years and in the next decades. But we also have a big responsibility to protect the data that is being generated in all these programs and the way this data is being used. So you are all welcome to come on board. With that, I'm closing. I'm going back to the host of today's show. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. That was an amazing session, and we have learned something new in this session. And that was a great motivation for us that you gave to explore more and learn more. And we'll definitely try to implement that. I hope all the audience enjoyed the session. And if there are any questions, please post them in the chat so that our speaker can answer them. Hope there are no questions. Once again, thank you, sir. That was great having you here, taking your time off your busy schedule to be with us. That was very honor for us. And before we sign off, I would like to mention that the feedback form will be posted in the chat so that the audience can fill it to get a certificate. And I would also like to see you all at the hackathon Hack the Mountains second season, and it would be a great fun and learning. So wish to see you all there. And once again, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for having me today. Happy to come back at any point that you want it. And best of luck with this program. Thanks for what you guys do. I think it's really important to keep bringing these kind of topics to as much people as possible. Let's take advantage of artificial intelligence. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.